Aye, what is going in here so big? I am testing right now the spot from Maruzin. He had caught his pink salmon as a trophy here at the Tunguska, and of course I have to try that out. Ooh, this is bigger than a pink salmon. Incredible. It's pulling really strong here already for a few minutes. I first have to quickly start the recording here so that we can also still get this one in. Lenok already went in for me too. Several Lenok now just for the start. That was already good. That was already a good sign. And now, of course, the big question. What is going in here now on my 9 kilogram setup? So I'm only here with 9 kilograms. Aye, in the worst case, it could also be a Taimen. Also, Taimen goes in here every now and then. Or maybe, yes, perhaps also a big Lenok. Although on 9 kilograms, that one could already really go off. But I suspect, however, that it's still bigger than Lenok. So clearly bigger. This must be something big. It could also be salmon and char. Not salmon, it can also be char. That's also quite possible. Those exist here too, every now and then in very big size. Yes, and in the worst case, it is simply a big Taimen. EA. It makes such strong jumps, it stops the line tension immediately. We don't want that, of course. That can lead to it slipping off faster. That is why directly striking again afterwards and making sure again that the bite also sits really well. So, and now just looking again. Head shakes it also makes. It could be a char. It also stays standing in the current and does not move further. That is also quite possible. Incredible. And this all on top water. And I thought, come on, I will just pull out here nicely a few Lenok. Pink salmon, small setup, going in nicely fine, and then something this big goes in. That is really insane. So now come closer, trying a little here to pull down with the current, right? When the current goes just right past here, then I of course try to pull the fish with the current towards me, and when it then swims away, then it must swim against the current. And that's of course again more difficult for the fish, and therefore it gets tired faster. We use that of course here. Or trying a little sideways. So yes, I will see if I can now get it in here reasonably well. That can of course still take a bit until it finally arrives here. And there it is to see. There it is already to see. It is actually a Taimen. So come close here, pulling nicely upwards, because upwards the fish have very little strength. So nicely upwards when you have a hill or a little slope, always pulling upwards, because in that direction they simply have too little strength to steer. In that direction they do not have fins, so to say. But in the other directions they have all possibilities to resist. And when, as I said, you pull nicely upwards, then the head is out of the water, and then they have lost anyway. Then you get it a bit faster out. 10 kilogram Taimen. Yes, that I of course do not want here on my 9 kilogram setup. And yes, now since I'm already here, I also run back to the spot, namely here into the curve, and then it goes on here. Another possibility is also here where I am right now. That is also again a possibility, I know. So let's test directly here. Also, this is always a possibility. Testing here again and again for Lenok, also for pink salmon, and so on. That works also again and again quite well. Yes, I definitely test here again and again this place, especially as I said also for Lenok. And if now here this lure works, the walker number 1, I will show it again in a moment. Or rather the whole setup, then that is not so bad at all. So that one we don't want, of course. Therefore, quickly leaving the spot again, but testing you must. So from here, casting towards the stone, or also over here, covering this whole area. So now quickly back to the spot. By the way, also a spot that regularly works very well, even if you're only here with the very simple Belaya setup. So the cheap Belaya start spinning setup, which I also showed in many tutorials again and again. With that, you can stand here very well. There is also an extra short video how you upgrade the setup, make it a little higher quality, so that's worth it. Yes, and Zach here first cast immediately also again, bite, that is good weight. That is how you can nicely go in here. Yes, ideally you go here sometime with 9 kilograms of drag strength or carrying capacity. With that, you are well on the way here. Clearly above that I would, however, also not go, because then you rather scare the shy fish here. Like, for example, the Lenok. And the Lenok I would like to have here. Additionally, also the Pink Salmon, and then I'm already completely satisfied. Zach in the next. And when then maybe in the night also the brown trout goes in here, or from time to time another one, then everything is top. Then you make really good cash here within 1 hour at this spot. So, within 1 day, then everything is correct. So directly casting again in the area in the direction of the bush, I was just there now. And now, of course, the question is, how far do I cast? And I remember roughly how far I load up the power bar, so to say, so how far it is charged. And then I always cast at the same spot, if at that spot I had caught a good fish. That is, of course, always the A and O. So if I know last time pulling through it worked really well, then I always try to cast the same way again, because the current and everything stays the same, and how the fish then also behaves, or how the lure behaves in the water also stays the same. And so that I then also come to the same spots again. They are distributed here on the water surface, these spots, so that I come to the same spots. I must, of course, always cast the same. That is, of course, the A and O. And that is why you must already roughly remember where you cast, with how much power you casted, so that you then come to the same spot. If you simply stand here and randomly look here and there, every cast different, then you will of course not be successful and regularly fill the net nicely, because then you do not have any repeat value. Then you cannot fish one spot or 2, 3 spots specifically again and again. And that's important. If we know here where something works, then we also want to cast again and again at the same spot with spinning. We could even directly set a line clip. That means if you're here with a line clip, you can also say with spinning, okay, I now do here 20 meters line clip. So I always cast 20 meters out, and then you test maybe 21, 22 meters and so on. Just test through with the line clip. You can do that also. For me, however, it's a bit too much. Line clip also causes extra wear. Therefore, I leave it with the line clip and simply cast always, right? So once at 50% loaded or at 45% loaded, you must just figure it out for yourself a little, and then it works already. At the moment, it looks like this. I am quite satisfied. Very, very, very mini Lenok. That is already really good. And now I must also concentrate here again a little so that I also get nicely back into the rhythm. Always nicely jerking here with the surface lure. Different surface lures work here regularly quite well. One series is, as I said, the Walker series, and of course also in different colors. Also, that you must of course test. So it's not enough to just buy this one lure, then come here, notice that maybe completely different weather and temperature situation is present, and then suddenly the lure does not work, and say, what is that Alden making for a video that does not work at all? Testing. Fishing means testing and trying. If it does not work for you, then you must try something else. For example, the same lure in another color, or another retrieve method. So faster, slower, let the lure sink a bit or not. These are all things you must try out in different situations. And we have practically almost every day here weather changes in different situations. That is why you must also test regularly. Yes, so the setup looks right now like this. I am right now only with 9 kilograms fluorocarbon completely from the 0.4 millimeter thick line, 250 meters fit on here at this spot. That is absolutely enough. Even with 100 meters of line, you still have at this water, at this spot, enough line on. We can run along the whole time, as just seen with the big Taimen. That is, of course, no problem. Yes, and this here is, as I said, the series. So Angry Walker works again and again quite well. And if we look here at the Angry Walker, we have very different colors. Huge advantage. These are surface lures, but they can also sink. So when we are not reeling, when we make this pause, they sink slowly down, and that triggers again, really. Works also excellently for pike fishing. So definitely test always again the number 1, which I use right now, but otherwise also the number 3, the number 4, and below here, of course, the number 9 and the number 10. Those are thus the most important, which work regularly at different spots because they are so nicely different in colors. What I use right now is the number 1, the silver one. Then you would have here the golden one, the brown-black one, red and green. And with that, you already have very, very good color differences. Maybe from time to time also the number 6 in blue or also the white one. And then it already starts. And if you have them all, then you can also take all the others with you, because then you have the whole setup together and can simply test through all colors what works best, at what time, and at what weather conditions. That is, of course, always the A and O. Other lures that also always work really well are here the small poppers in this small series. They are, of course, easier to cast with, for example, the Belaya setup or with an ultralight or light setup. Still, you could also do it here quite well. Even with my big setup, they go out reasonably well. And here we have, of course, an advantage at this spot. The current goes away from us, and accordingly, you can wait a little, the lure drifts away, and then I can bring it back slowly again. And with that, I can, of course, also test the lure a little. Ideally, it is not. For that, you maybe get yourself a smaller setup, a finer setup, and also try these lures. And the next possibility are, of course, spoons or spinners. They also work here at this spot again and again really well. So also here, gladly try spinners. Again, tendentially rather small. So this whole section here at the Tunguska from the front up to above, that is practically like fishing at the Belaya. So rather fine fishing, delicate fishing, thin lines, small lures, and that usually works well here. Yes, I'm now also testing further. Although, of course, I also would like to have the Pink Salmon. As said, Martozin had posted it in the trophy haul with card, almost 4-kilogram Pink Salmon trophy, an absolutely wild fish. So out with the lures, keep testing and trying, and then as said, also play around with the different colors. Maybe also for me, then the Pink Salmon goes in as a trophy. Simply, as said, a really beautiful fish and worth it for sure. But also the Lenok, those are worth it financially enormously. So it is worth it to stand here again and again and look for the Lenok. But as said, be careful, not going in too heavy, not going in too thick. So with 9 kilograms, you are already really well on the way here. And there goes the next in. Yes, exactly, that's how it should be. Yes, it's fun here. Come on in. Gladly test. Gladly also share your successes and your fish here. There we still have it, the missing one. The brown trout, very nice. Those are the most important fish, I would say. So Lenok, pink salmon, brown trout. For the grayling, the lures may already be too big. The grayling you have much easier if you are here with the spinner, so with the small 4-gram or 5-gram spinners. That works then again quite well here with that. I now keep pulling further for the big Lenok and pink salmon. Those are really fun and worth it financially, as said. Thanks again to Maro10 for sharing the spot. The whole thing is, of course, also to be found in the Discord, linked to the Discord under the video. And otherwise, we see each other then in the next video. Leave a thumbs up, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, and then we see each other in the next video or in the next live stream. Until then, tight lines.